Alright, response to something called a rebuttal video by To Be Serious. So, we'll play the first part of her video.
Hi, I'm just wanting to make a video response to Amendum. And in order to do that, it's a response to his recent, probably not his most recent, because it was called Brain Science. I think it was yesterday. There might be 5 more since then. But I'll put it in the sidebar so you can take a look at what I'm responding to.
Yeah, it's a nice waste of 30 seconds. Thank you. Great rebuttal. I make too many videos. Yeah, great video.
In that video, he made the point, as he often does, that he considers me wrong, hysterical, and stupid.
Yeah, I've never said those words, but whatever. You can self-define yourself. You're posting a picture of a crying baby as the icon for your video, and you deliberately chose it from the available ones because it's not the center image. So what's your deal? Okay, you want to play that game? Go ahead and play the game. It's not a rebuttal. What I said is that you have basically suggested creationist views. All right, if natural selection is not how the selection takes place, then it has to be something else, something unnatural.
So rather than inflicting one of my videos on that would contain my opinions on him, I'm including a question and answer that was done at Columbia University by...
Yeah, whatever. I mean, yeah, so that's your rebuttal is, okay, so now you pass the ball off to what has been some question and answer at Columbia University. Well, look, I won't even play the rest of the video. You know, you can watch the clip, okay? I'll post the link. You watch the clip, and it's, you know, it bore you to tears. So it's a woman in the audience. So she takes 15 minutes or whatever to ask a question, and her simple question is, or her accusation is, oh well, you know, isn't mammal evolution completely different than any other evolution? And wasn't that the birth of altruism? And that's the notion that mammals are altruistic, that it's built into the mammalian brain and the mammalian nature somehow, and it's just the crock of shit. Okay, and the guy he placated her. He gave her a blah 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 answer. Yes, well, Darwin, he did read blah blah blah, and he did have some ethics and morals and blah blah blah. But in the end, yeah, animals eat each other. You know, but he didn't say it that way. He was kind and nice and polite. But it's just stupid. Okay, the only altruism is at the end. Okay, that's an intellectual concept. It's a really advanced intellect that even understands what that word means. But in a native animal, this doesn't have any meaning whatsoever. Okay, we love our kind, we love our tribe, we love our pack. Okay, it goes that far. But you won't give me examples. If you say it's in nature, give me the fucking examples. All right, is it in nature when, you know, the old king lion gets a little bit long of tooth, and the young bucks come in and rip him to pieces and then kill all his children? Is that altruism at showing itself? You know, wolf packs fight with themselves. Animals fight with close relatives of themselves. It's a game of competition. All right, brutal competition. Nasty, horrible competition, and the young and the weak and the innocent are usually the fucking victims. All right, the old, whatever. Okay, the vulnerable. And there's nothing altruistic or empathetic or any of that crap in any of it, because any positive emotion, any giving emotion, any sacrificing emotion is in there merely because it's good for the genetic pool. It's good for the family. All right, it's a network, and the network becomes the depositor, the reservoir of the genetic material, and it's, you know, not much more complex than an ant colony in many ways. It's almost just as you know, if you look at seal populations, other animals, it's only, you know, one male out of, you know, 500 gets to do the breeding. I mean, the statistics are incredibly narrow. It almost is like a queen bee kind of scenario, where it's one DNA and the rest of the elements in the clan are just the mechanisms through which that king or that queen plants its seed into the future. And we do it in our own damn cultures. Look at what we have created. We created monarchies. We created empires, and the disposable peasants, the disposable workers. God damn.
Sorry about the interruption. Power outages all day. It's snowing here in October. Shit. And telephone calls today. That was my mother, though. Which is kind of interesting subject, just because that's really what it's all about. It's about this family thing. That's the only altruism you can find, and it's not really altruism. It's based on all kinds of interdependencies, conditioning, and psychology. Even today, the human race. I mean, the majority of human beings are born through selfishness. There's no altruism involved. There's ego involved, and notions of unconditional love and what people want and what they want for their life. And how many of them are taking true responsibility for the lives they're creating? So, this whole idea of altruism is so stupid. And like I said, it's only through the best principles, the best intelligence, that we can oblige ourselves to do something decent out of principle rather than selfish emotion. And our emotions are selfish. They're bigoted, they're prejudiced, they're based on preferences, attractiveness. Lots of silly components go into how we treat people and what we give a damn about. Cuteness. This is what controls our behavior. Alright, and so that's for the evolutionary part of it. I mean, the only thing that changed is you went from reptiles to more advanced, let's even mammals, whatever, birds, you can just pick one. What changed is that the programming went from being rigid, written, and, hardwired programming, to optional programming, to a programming that could be adaptive, where the animal could be conditioned, all right, by its pack, by its group, by its unique culture that it was born to, and that would have obvious evolutionary advantage. More adaptive organisms are going to be able to survive better over the long haul. They're going to be able to take what nature throws at them and adjust to it better. And so that's obviously going to have evolutionary advantage. It's going to succeed in the long run. And then you take a step further after conditioning, you have the advantage of being able to express into the next generation your experience, what you have learned in your life. And that becomes very valuable to be able to pass that down to the next generation. It has obvious advantages to that. And so, of course, mammals evolved, creating very developed psychologies, a very developed social organization that provided the time for that to take place, a maturating period. There was also some advantage also to having young that are undeveloped, that your clan could develop, that they were going to program, basically. But the advantages of those things, conditioning and learning, is just undeniable. Of course it would be something that nature, once that capacity was evolved into, that would define success. Especially in these complex biosphere that we're living on. We're living on this very outer edge of the biosphere. We're living on top of the macro, and where the simpler life forms create the environment we live on, that we're parasites on. But there's nothing in here. There is a DNA molecule, and if Charles Darwin knew of its existence, he would have taken 10 chapters out of his book and just said it pretty clear that, yeah, it's all about the evolution of a blueprint. It's about the evolution of that little bit of knowledge base contained in a molecule, and that's what's really evolving here. And it doesn't have built into it any aspiration to become elegant or dignified or graceful or any of that crap. It's all about success, and the fact that complexity will create success is a given in the system, all right? But there are limits to what is valuable creativity, what is valuable sophistication and complexity. And as is obvious, we've put our survival in jeopardy. We may be selected by nature as a failure, because we may cause our own extinction. It's a realistic and quite probable eventuality. So this isn't, this game hasn't been played yet, and we haven't proved that we can overcome our nature with our intelligence. And there's little demonstration of that in having to have this conversation, because if people can't even admit what our nature is and what nature is, then obviously our intelligence isn't advanced very far, because we're still in denial. We're still inventing fairy tales and gods and things to hope and cling to that have nothing to do with reality. We're still chasing rainbows, looking for pots of gold, and that sort of bullshit. We've got to deal with the real world we live in. There's no God to fix this. There's no magic in the DNA that's going to fix this. It's only going to get fixed because intelligence, that virus, the virus of intelligence, is strong enough, the power of principle becomes strong enough to overwhelm all these liabilities of our nature. Our nature is the enemy. It's not our friend. And anybody who thinks otherwise, I think, is a fool.